All right, all right. Hey guys, welcome back to the Underground. This is Interactive Chat Volume 57, our Solo Man podcast, where we get together each and every Thursday, rain or shine, and talk about everything: news, reviews, announcements, trailers, discussions, all the things PSVR2 related. My name is AJ. What is up, y'all? So good to see you. And boy, oh boy, do we have some breaking news to talk about today, because yesterday during Sony's State of Play showcase, we got an announcement of two new upcoming PSVR 2 games that are basically going to be most of the feature today, although we do have some other news to talk about beforehand. But yeah, Metro Awakening VR and Legendary Tales were announced, and we're going to do a deep dive into that, get some details, break down the PS blogs, and take a look at what to expect. And Legendary Tales is in fact coming next week, so that is right around the corner. Really exciting stuff. This is, of course, Interactive Chat, where I like to interact with you guys and say, what is up, Looper, the Underground Game Cat, Elite Name Squad in the house, yo. Hooked Worm, good to see you. Got the PSVR goodness for you today, homie. Blue Jew, the Underground Game Cat, hey, Elite Name Squad in the house. This one. Also, can we all wish Blue Jew, the Underground Game Cat, a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Blue Jew. Dead Ringer, the Game Cat, in the house tonight. The Game Cat Slee Stack. Yo. I'm doing well, my friend. I hope you are as well. Good to see you, man. Thanks for joining. Geist on fist bump to you. Boom. Shapeshifter, Pietrek, Pete Neon. Hello. Good to see all of you. Now, so like I said, we are going to heavily feature and break down all the details and all the information, everything you need to know about Metro Awakening VR, as well as Legendary Tales. But first, we have some important updates. The first one, of course, being that just a quick two little things to note here. First of all, Ultrawings, which just released last week, kind of stealth dropped, and was absolutely fantastic. I love this game to death. For those that have been wanting to play it with a HOTAS controller, which is the hands-on throttle and stick, good news. They have patched it to now where you can use the HOTAS properly, I believe. And so if you are wanting to hold off for that update, I of course prefer the orb controllers, the orbs. So I wasn't really affected, and I've been playing the shit out of it, and I've been absolutely loving it. But I do understand, wanting to use the HOTAS. It's a nice controller. It's very cool. And of course, if you had one already, you need a reason to get the dust off of it. So, Emily Baxter says, did you see the new footage of Aces of Thunder? It looks good. Well, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because if you happen to purchase a HOTAS just for Ultrawings, I've got even better news. We've gotten not one, but another flight sim game that's coming out. Of course, I cannot recommend Ultrawings enough. You really should pick it up. It's an amazing value for $20, and it's a super fun and polished game, and it's awesome. But if that's not enough for you, if you need more, if you crave more thrilling flight, then we've got an update on Aces of Thunder, as Emily Baxter pointed out. Let me go ahead and get this footage off here, because just a small little update. Now, here's the thing. It seems like the release for Aces of Thunder is actually pretty imminent. It's seemingly right around the corner even. And we got a nice little update from the devs today. So let's go ahead and take a look over on their Twitters, or X, or whatever the hell you want to call it these days. They got us a nice little update and some new footage. They said, we are diligently testing the game, flying in Aces of Thunder from dawn to dusk at the office, enjoying a stable 90 frames per second on PlayStation VR 2. And they also showed us this footage here. And they said this footage was captured on PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation VR 2 headset. This is all in-game footage right here. And obviously I'm kind of streaming a Twitter video, so it may have a little bit of compression and stuff. But overall, it is looking very, very nice. And now the developers have confirmed that it is a solid 90 frames per second, it seems, which is good. 90 frames per second looks excellent. And, if a game can lock it down to that, it avoids reprojection. And 90 frames is plenty smooth and looking really good. So not only was Ultrawings 2 awesome, but now we have another game to look forward to in Aces of Thunder. I hope it's really good. It's designed, it seems like this is a Sony funded title. It seems, it is specifically built for PlayStation VR 2. It looks like it's going to be an exclusive. So pretty cool stuff there. And Awesome Tatum in the house tonight. What up, yo? Says my HOTAS is getting dusty. Man, why is it getting dusty when Ultrawings 2 just came out? It shouldn't be dusty. It should be nice and polished and have those greasy beer dampness and Cheetos, I don't know, whatever chips you eat, grease all over it. That's gross. Clean your headset, clean your controllers, clean your peripherals, clean your all your stuff, man. Keep that shit clean. What up, Distracted? Yes, I did actually get invited to join the crewcast. Unfortunately, I was stuck at work though, so I wasn't able to. But maybe one of these days, if the stars align, I will jump on there. I've been invited over there a couple times, and it's just never worked out schedule-wise. But if I ever get a free chance, yeah, man, I will probably join anybody that asks for me to jump on and join them. So if you have other podcasts and stuff that you enjoy and want to see me barge in and show up, just let them know. Tell them to reach out to me. I'm totally open as long as the schedules work. What up, Melkai? So even Game Cat Razio. I just like saying Razio. Oh man. But yeah, so cool little update on that. Man, we wanted some fight games, and now we've got potentially two awesome ones. Definitely one, at least in Ultrawings. And it's really nice because I think flight sims, flying games are just some of the best. It's stuff like this that I like VR, being able to do things that I would never do in real life, probably. But moving on, we've got some exciting news from our friends over at Fast Travel Games. Let me make sure I've got the volume off here. I do. Exciting news. VR in general it's a hard platform to develop for and to make profit and make a successful company on. So shout out to all the devs out there, giving their best, doing their all to make a good game, find some success and grow. And that's something that Fast Travel has been doing for several years now. Their first game I ever experienced was in 2017, I think, or 2018. Maybe it was March of 2018, which was Apex Construct. And I thought that game was really good, but really kind of even ahead of its time in some ways, a very immersive world. And then, they had some other projects and whatnot. Why is my camera being blurry? They had a couple other projects, one little side puzzle game that was like, all right. Then they invested a lot, partnering with the World of Darkness, universe. And they made, Wraith the Oblivion Afterlife. It was pretty bad. I was not the biggest fan of it. Some people liked it, so that's good at least. I thought, I wasn't a big fan, but I've been rooting for this studio for quite some time. And alas, they finally delivered a very, very impressive game in Vampire the Masquerade Justice, which I have a short little review summary and some gameplay. For those who don't know, this is a game where you get to be a freaking vampire in VR. You get to grab people from behind and suck their blood, and you get headset rumble. It's a really cool game. It's like 8 to 10 hours long, and it also has tons of replay value. And it gets compared, of course, it's inspired heavily by like Assassin's Creed and Dishonored, with the little bow and arrow on the hand. Awesome Tatum says no rat was safe in my time. Yeah, you go around, you feast off of people, bad guys, even rats crawling around, and I thoroughly enjoyed this game. Also a great price for it. But that is not really the good news. The CEO of the company recently did an interview with GameDeveloper.com, a website I have not heard of until now, but they basically have revealed, it's an interesting little discussion piece, but really the awesome thing to take away from here is that after grinding and never giving up, the studio CEO Oscar Berman shared that the studio's roster of virtual reality titles collectively delivered over 100,000 sales across November and December, while Vampire the Masquerade Justice has become its fastest selling internally developed project since debuting in November. And Fast Travel's publishing arm, which launched in 2021, also contributed to that success. So this is great news, and congrats to Fast Travel Games. I really, like I said, think they knocked it out of the park with Vampire the Masquerade Justice. It feels like a mini AAA game. And that's no easy feat. And for a studio that, really struggled to get a game that, just really took off for everybody, I'm excited to finally see them having this level of success. And now don't forget, this also, like they said, comes from they also turned into a publishing studio, which I think was a great move by them. We've seen them publish things such as Ghost Signal, a Stellaris game. And that was also a very, very good game that I highly recommend, especially if you like roguelikes. Yeah, it is just awesome to see this. Now, like I said before, they did have a little bit of they did, and this was like combined with Quest sales, PSVR2 sales, and it seems like Vampire the Masquerade is really leading the charge here. But they also have, that could be attributed to several of these other things they're publishing. There's also an interesting article or conversation piece about talking about, where the market is, that they mentioned, like, it seems like the market is still trying to define itself, which it's a very, very nice read. So I highly recommend checking that out over on GameDeveloper.com. Check out the Fast Travel interview that they have. It's a really, really interesting read, just talking about things like, and I wholeheartedly agree that in some ways VR is still trying to define itself. We're still in the early days of mainstream VR. I think VR has already officially gone mainstream. Now it just needs to have mainstream success. And, I think people are starting to understand what it is more, and, people are more aware of it. And that's largely in part to, obviously it started back on the PC days, and then it evolved with PSVR and then Meta's, marketing blitz. It has grown quite a bit in just in 5-7 years, and even though it continues to be kind of a slow growth, it's growing nonetheless, which is nice to see. But awesome little thing here. Highly recommend checking it out. And again, congrats to Fast Travel Games, because you love to see stuff like this. We always hear about the doom and gloom in the VR space. So I really, it's awesome to see this, and I cannot encourage other developers enough to go and share their story about their success in the VR space, because honestly, people need to know there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and yeah, I think really more stories like this could be good. We need to hear more about awesome success stories, make them more public, make more visible, so that not all the stuff we hear all the time is just the bad stuff that happens, because there's obviously plenty of good stuff happening as well that can easily go unnoticed. So shout out to all these people spreading the good word. All right. So in other news, before we get to the state of play, which again, we're going to be heavily focusing on today, I want to share a quick impression on a game that some of you might not be crazy about to hear about, but I think you should at least hear a little bit of what I've got to say here. I'm not going to go too far into it, but Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters, actually had a new update. And, you know, when this game came out, I think the best word I can use to describe it was underwhelming. You know, it's developed by Endream, so you know it's going to have some quality to it. And, but overall, I think, you know, the stylistic design choices, the game loop didn't have a lot of depth, and it's kind of repetitive, grindy, and it's cartoonish, and you know it was weird. It didn't really appeal to like hardcore Ghostbusters fans, and then you know and then like it also comes off as kind of like a kids game and stuff, so it's kind of strange. Distracted. But I did want to share my quick thoughts on this Slimer update, because I feel like even though it's a small step in the right direction, it is a step in the right direction. I played this by myself. The gameplay footage you see is me playing the game last night, checking it out. And you know, as far as this mode goes, it took me about 30 minutes to complete my first time, because honestly, I didn't really know what I was supposed to be doing. That's one way they kind of artificially pad this game, is they don't explain how everything works and how to do everything. They kind of let you figure it out, because otherwise the game would be like 5 minutes long. But basically, what I really, really appreciated about this was two things. Number one, you get to actually use some of the tools and stuff. I'm using here the PKE meter. You're going around looking for slime. You're exploring this mansion. And this mansion has like a cool, darker vibe to it. It's kind of eerie. There's a little bit of jump scares in this, which a couple of them got me pretty good, not gonna lie. And but I like that though. I want to have a little bit more tension when I'm playing this. And you know, I want it to feel a little bit more realistic and scary and stuff like that. I mean, you're taking down ghosts. It's supposed to be kind of scary, or it's supposed to be very, very funny. And the game itself kind of didn't do, you know, the initial launch didn't do either of those things. But what's really, really cool here is that they actually got Dan Aykroyd to do some voiceovers for this, and he's kind of he's the one kind of guiding you on this mission and just kind of talking a little bit and narrating while you're going around scanning things. And basically you have to find all the slime. So I really, really like that. It just has more of a connection to Ghostbusters, having Dan Aykroyd's voice in there. And what you're doing, you're actually scanning the environment, scanning the slime, and then which ultimately leads you to into Slimer, you know, also a very popular Ghostbusters character. And then you have to fight Slimer and catch him. And like I said, this took me about 30 minutes. I don't know replay value wise, you know, I don't think it's going to have a ton of staying power, but it is a nice additional mode to throw in here. And it did feel more true to Ghostbusters than the rest of the stuff I've experienced in that so far, which is mostly just like a wave shooter. The most Ghostbustery thing I liked about the main launch was that the music and the sound design and stuff was really, really good. But I would say so, Shapeshifter. But you know, is this mode enough to go out and buy this game? No. But if you already own the game, I do think you should go check out this mode and try this. It was pretty cool. I thought it was fine. You know, like I said, having Dan Aykroyd's voice kind of involved, and then getting to use the PKE meter. There's spooky things going around the mansion, a couple jump scares that got me. And then of course, you know, fighting Slimer at the end was okay. It was decent. Some decent mechanics there, nothing super special, but overall a pretty decent short little experience. So if you have the game already, I do recommend checking it out. Now, that brings us to our main huge topics today, in which Sony had a state of play yesterday, and they, with it, announced 2 new games coming to PlayStation VR in 2024, one coming later and one coming as early as next week. And it's got an interesting story behind it, but let's go ahead and first talk about the one that's coming soonest. And that is a game called Legendary Tales. Now, there's a very, very interesting story behind this, which we'll get into. But just for starters, if you're not aware, Legendary Tales is an action RPG with 4-player co-op, dungeon crawling, physics-based combat, and it has a lot of really, really interesting and cool features that actually have me pretty excited to jump into this one ASAP. But, you know, I've been saying if there's one genre that's sorely lacking on PSVR, I mean, there's probably a couple examples, but one of the bigger ones, I think, is RPGs. We need more RPGs. I think the pacing works well for VR, and it's just, you know, something to spend loads of hours into and progress. And the fact that this has multiplayer is also really cool. So, as always, I'm gonna share a little bit of a story about the development of this game that the developers actually posted themselves. But let's go ahead and take a look over on the PlayStation blog, as we always do, and see what they had to say about Legendary Tales, which is coming February 8th. So next Thursday, this game will be releasing, which is a nice little surprise. I like that they announced it. This comes from the founder and CEO of Urban Wolf Games. He goes by BJ, I believe, but he's got his full name listed here. But he says, "Welcome, PlayStation players." Let me make sure I've got this up. Okay. This is Byungjik from Urban Wolf Games here to, and I'm sorry if I slaughtered your name, sir. Here to share some exciting news. Yes, it's true. Legendary Tales is coming to PlayStation VR2 later this year, and we're here to share with you some information about the game and its development. So, what is it? A dark fantasy RPG with medieval weapons, armor, dazzling magic. I can go ahead and play this as well, actually, but let me make sure it's muted. A medieval, dark fantasy RPG with medieval weapons, armor, dazzling magic, an RPG attribute system, skill trees, and dungeons. Not enough? Well, we've got crafting, potion making, randomly generated items, collectible items, and a quest-driven storyline. I like that there's quests in this because that's an important thing of RPGs, and I just feel like I haven't played a game, because I've been playing so much VR, I haven't played a game that has quests in it for so long. We've spent a long time developing this, and we are so happy to be here. Today is my pleasure to introduce you to the design philosophy that went behind building this fantastic VR adventure. And here you see some of the gameplay, some of the physics in action, the crafting, the VRAF mechanics of inserting a key into a chest and upgrading weapons, all this nice stuff. So designed from the ground up for multiplayer VR. When we started working on Legendary Tales, we wanted it to be a multiplayer VR experience from the get-go. I was obsessed with making players feel immersed in the world together, and it's been the driving force behind our entire development process. Every feature, every part of the gameplay was considered only for VR since the beginning. As examples, what if we can powerbomb enemies? What if you can damage enemies with the crossguard of your sword? If you can do all of this with your friends in multiplayer. And they've got some gifts here. There's co-op with friends, drinking some ale, relaxing in a tent, having a nice break with some ale. Attack enemies with crossguard. He's hitting them with the hilt of the sword there. Boom! His head went flying off. I love this, man. And I love the way that the environment kind of looks here with some grass, some rocks, some cabins. There's like a castle in the background, some mountains. Nice little atmospheric touch here going on. Some dead trees for boot. I love how he just whacks his head right off. And then, of course, powerbomb the enemy. This is something that's absolutely insane. Not only is he powerbombing him, but he's powerbombing the skeleton through a freaking table. I love it. I love it. You know, I'm not like the biggest wrestling fan out there, but I sure know a lot of the wrestling history behind powerbombing people through tables. And like, you know, with multiplayer too, man, you could come up with some cool stuff. Could you do the 3D? Can we like 3D a skeleton through a table? Debo, get the table. Yeah, it's been a while since I've watched wrestling. But that is awesome. Just being able to do something like that, the physics-based combat, melee combat, super satisfying. But there's even more reason to be excited about that, and we will get into it. So, Legendary Tales is a physics-based VR game, and we want every hit to feel impactful. This was also what led us to develop our hard-hitting parrying system. Parrying feels awesome, by the way. We're all satisfying feedback and strive to make players feel the power of their strikes through the reaction of their enemies. You can push an enemy back with your shield. You can play as a Tai Chi master. Oh, snap. I haven't seen some of these, so I'm kind of reacting to these for the first time as well. But that's awesome. He grabs the skeleton's arm as he's swinging the sword, totally flips him over like judo style, and then smacks him on the face. I love it. Your combat potential is limited only by your creativity for brutality. Here he parries, he blocks. Wow, yeah, looking pretty good here. Blocks the sword, stabs him in the leg with the trident, and then throws the trident into the other skeleton's chest. That is awesome. Good stuff here. So liking what I'm seeing from the combat, but as an RPG, it is very important, and this is where I get excited about the progression system, and this is where the progression system, the replay value, this is where I get excited about this stuff, because as much as, you know, a lot of VR games can be fun, if they don't have a good game loop or progression system, it can kind of make them repetitive, or kind of like you're like, okay, this is fun, but what am I doing? Why do I want to play more? Well, adding traits and skill trees reimagined for VR is a good one. So all RPG games dream of forging and embodying their dream hero, and that's especially true of VR gamers. A basic RPG game has class systems, including fighters, rogues, warriors, wizards, etc. But what if someone wants to be a magic fighter, or fight with their bare hands? We didn't want to be limited by class systems and designed skills and attributes to embrace the playstyle freedom. So the question is, what do you want to be? So pretty cool here. They have your basics, like, you know, classes, rogues, wizards, fighters, like they said here. But you can kind of mix and match, and they've got this picture here, and it's got magic, ability, traits. Here's fire, upgrading the skill point for fire. Definitely looks like some nice abilities to unlock. It looks like these are all fire-based. Oh, here we go. Here's fire, ice, lightning, psychic, and fusion. So this looks like just the fire skill tree alone is what this is looking like, I believe. And if so, that's definitely a lot of fire skills here. So that's pretty cool. And you can upgrade those. And I imagine there's the same that goes for the other abilities as well. What's this over on the right? They've got untidy amputation, which guaranteed chance of knockdown. Condition with melee weapons, hard parried enemy, blunt attack, leg attack. Camp Fringen. I don't know what that means. Physical damage attributes being added here. There's a penetration power, physical damage, strength, and then there's dual wielding ability. So just a tiny little preview of some of these skills and abilities here. I'm liking what I'm seeing here, you guys. This is pretty cool. Shape your character your way with the skill tree. This is some good looking stuff here, I gotta say. And you guys, let me know if that video is annoying you. I can move it under the blog, but if you don't mind it being there, then I'll just leave it there. That might have been actually blocking that last thing that I was looking at, so apologies if so. Distracted says ECW, ECW, EC. Awesome Data says Batista bomb. Dude, through a table. That is awesome, man. All right, so I'll check back in a second to see if you guys want that video moved or if it's okay. Okay, dark fantasy dungeons, quests, monsters, and bosses. Good, love me a good old boss fight. VR is the perfect way to escape to a fictional world. Legendary Tales is set in a dark fantasy world where monsters, magic, and exciting quests lurk around every corner. Every type of monster has its own fighting method and style you will have to master to fight against them most effectively. Some monsters are stronger and some are craftier. With named monsters having their own fighting and movement patterns, can you master them all? So here's a couple you'll encounter. There's like a troll, an armored troll, a skeleton guy, and then like a just random troll or something. Dark fantasy world that is waiting for you. This looks really pretty right here. This whole picture. I hope, you know, if the in-game art looks like that, that'd be a nice little view. Craft uniquely powerful weapons such as Altair, a legendary shield. So there is like weapon crafting. You do see that in some of the gameplay trailer as well, where you see him putting on like another hilt on the hilt on the weapon here. A sneak peek at the blacksmithing craft, which is pretty cool. Get to hammer away. And again, I haven't gotten to the exciting part about some of these things, but it looks like it's what's next. A glimpse into the large variety of legendary weapon designs. So that's pretty cool. They'll have, you know, this is what makes RPGs great, is grinding for those legendary weapons. Here you've got like a staff, a spear, a dagger, a sword, a shield, an axe, and a cross and a bow and arrow. So that's pretty cool. Nice little look at some of the legendary weapons. If there's one thing, I think if there's one thing that really I love about RPGs, and especially like, you know, fantasy RPGs, things like that, there's nothing more satisfying to me than like hunting down those legendary weapons or those rare weapons, you know, that you get a new look to them, you get a special design with them, and then also the stats and abilities that come with them as well are usually pretty sweet. There's even a hammer here, which they didn't even show, and he just held that hammer up and it drew some lightning or something, so that's pretty cool. But now this is what's important with our PSVR2 versions. It says unique PSVR2 features. This is where, guys, you want to really pay attention, because, you know, if you're tired of, you know, crappy ports or whatever, this seems like this is not the case here, because they say, we've done our best to utilize PlayStation VR2's immersive features in Legendary Tales. The game supports 4K HDR, eye tracking, adaptive triggers, headset haptics, ultra sharp dynamic foveation rendering. It says 2 to 2.5 times higher than the original resolution of the game. And all of this while keeping it running at a native 90 frames per second. It wasn't easy, but we made it happen, and we hope you enjoy it. Well, my friends, I think we will enjoy it, because if there's anything we love to hear with our unique PlayStation VR2 headsets, is that the game will utilize these unique features. I mean, that's why these features are there. That's what we want them to take advantage of. Eye-tracked foveated rendering, something that seems very rare these days in the early on in the life cycle of the PSVR 2. But love to see that it has eye tracking, and it says it's ultra sharp. It's got 2 to 2.5 times the resolution of the original game. And 90 frames per second native. So they know what they're doing here, and that is pretty awesome. It's going to be sharp. It's going to be smooth. That sounds really awesome that they're going to be using these. Plus, you know, for melee combat, things like haptics, things like adaptive triggers, headset rumble are going to be very important as well. So can't wait. I imagine some of the magic and stuff will use the triggers. That will feel pretty good and satisfying. I'm very impressed with what I'm seeing and hearing on this game, you guys. I love dungeon crawlers. They're one of my favorite genres of gaming. You know, all the way back from Diablo to, I don't know. There's like a billion examples. So, but I love dungeon crawlers, and it's nice to see this. They define it as an action role playing game. I think there's a little bit more. Well, actually, so that's about it from the PlayStation blog for this one. They do add a little bit more. This image illustrates how ultra sharp dynamic eye tracked foveation rendering operates. It says not an actual in-game thing, but you can see all around in the side it's kind of blurry, and then yeah, like it just gets sharper and sharper the more where the eye is focused. So eye tracked foveated rendering confirmed, 90 frames per second confirmed, haptics adaptive triggers confirmed, headset rumble confirmed. Let's freaking go. Let's go. What are they? I forget the name of the studio. Sorry. Urban Wolf Games. Let's freaking go, homies. I love this. Pretty stoked about this. So he says, that's all from us. I hope this news has piqued your interest. It sure has. Remember, Legendary Tales is a challenging game and not for the faint of heart. I also love to hear this. If you want to take on the mantle of the legendary hero, be prepared to take on an arduous journey. You can start making your own Legendary Tales when the game hits PSVR2 February 8th. So this game is coming next week, guys. How are we feeling about this one? We excited? I am very, very, very excited about this one. I love that we're getting a PSVR2 enhanced version, utilizing all the features. I'm curious to see how much content is in the game. Robert says it's so close. I know. On a side note, yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. The story behind this game is a pretty interesting one. The developers actually shared a really, really nice update on the Steam page. I'm not going to read the whole thing because we basically just got all the information on the game. But to break it down, they did give a nice little update here, telling their story. And it's a really, really nice story. These guys basically had a pretty interesting ride with this game. It like 4 years ago. This game has been in development for 4 years. The first 2 years were early access, and then the last 2 years was developing the 1.0 version. And they basically talk about their journey through this game. It was we'll read a little bit of this. It was December 2021 after Magic and Skill Tree update. I really wanted to make Legendary Tales as bigger a project than what we had at the time because I had a goal and a dream before early access releases. But as everyone know, and by the way, this is a translated thing, so I'll try to fix any of the translation as I can, but it's mostly okay. The original early access didn't sell well because all of the VR market was looking at modding supported VR game only, and many of the people didn't want to support actual VR games that is built as a pure VR game from the ground, like Legendary Tales. On top of that, we were denied by Meta many times already. I felt we didn't have a future, so I was shaking with fear that I might need to shrink 90% of the future I had planned. It was January 2022. January 2022, after the holiday. Some of the YouTubers covered the game on their channel. There was a sudden spike in sales, and it surprised me. It was still not enough to cover the future plan of development, but I could see maybe the PSVR2 version. Then the PSVR2 version was announced. In February of 2022, I contacted PlayStation in Korea with a hope that they might be interested in the game. It was the right call. Sony Interactive Entertainment Korea said absolutely they want to bring it to PSVR 2. That moment, I could see the possibility, and they said they will give us a dev kit when it's available before PSVR 2 releases. When I heard that, I could see the light. My dream, our team's dream, can be true. I have decided to push as much as possible, bet on the future again. I started to carve the Legendary Tales 1.0 in my head. It couldn't be the same size as I have dreamed, but I really wanted to push the limit with the resources I have. So I highly recommend going and checking this out. I'll try to leave some of this stuff in the description after the stream, but It's a really, really interesting read. Hearing the story of this again, I love hearing the transparency, the story of how this game came to be, and it's a fascinating one. I mean, you know, we don't hear a lot from Sony Interactive Entertainment Korea division. We don't hear much from them. But it's nice to see this. So this has a lot of things going on it. And the story goes on. It even mentions that they had to downgrade the game from Unreal Engine 5 to Unreal Engine 4, but in the process, it also allowed them to make a lot of refinements to the characters, the NPCs, the gameplay, lots of different things, the physics and everything. It helped them to create a more fleshed out game here by doing so. And they also mentioned that they plan on having crossplay with the game at some point as well. So a really fascinating story. I'm really rooting for this game. I hope it turns out well. And we do have some review keys for it, so I'm gonna get to play it very, very soon. This game, like I said before, has 4-player co-op, so I can't wait to try that out as well. Probably be testing it out with the crew. And as soon as embargo lifts and stuff, we will share our first impressions or our reviews on the game as soon as possible with you guys. But really, really crossing my fingers for this one. I hope this is really good. I need this type of genre in VR. What I'm seeing here looks fantastic. And yeah, man, I'm very, very excited about this one. And it is coming as soon as next week. So super, super cool stuff here, man. I cannot wait personally to powerbomb a skeleton through a table. I can't wait to see how that turns out. But yeah, great story behind this game, and it's looking very good. So I hope it turns out great. Rooting for you, Legendary Tales. I hope it becomes a legendary game. All right, guys, but that was not the only thing announced yesterday, which we're about to get into. Eva Stevens says, your videos are so detailed and good. Replaying Madison for the VR version and scared to play the VR version. The regular is scary enough, LOL. And do not open VR game. Well, thank you so much. That's very kind of you. I am also very, very excited for Madison VR. I am very much looking forward to that one. That's coming February 20th. That is coming this month, you guys. 20 days away. We've got a lot of releases here that are right around the corner. We've got Dead Hook, Mixture, and Legendary Tales next week. And then I'm sure there's going to be some other surprises. Madison VR, the 20th, I believe, or 22nd. I think it's the 20th. And then, the 22nd is going to be the anniversary of the PlayStation VR2. And I think Sony's going to have something in store for us there. So we're probably going to end the month on a really high note with a lot of other announcements or something. It should be really, really cool. Fifth says Cube is also coming. Yeah, I'm not like super interested in that one. It's not really my thing, but yeah, I mean, I'm interested to check it out, but it doesn't typically historically have my type of thing. Not as much as a dungeon crawler or an action dungeon crawler or a Doom clone or, maybe even the potential Aces of Thunder or Madison VR or something like that. Yeah, next week's going to be a busy week for sure. Fernando says Borderbots will also be available on February 8th. Borderbots probably is the least of my priorities here. But I'll still probably check it out at some point. I'm not into those job sim style games either, but I have had some fun with some of them, even though they're not my type of thing. But thank you guys. You're very, very, you're very kind. He says, will you make, Eva also says, Eva also says, will you make it, make a deal? We'll make you a deal. You play the Do Not Open VR game when it comes out February 9th. Does Do Not Open VR come out February 9th? And Madison VR on February 20th, and I will, then I will scariest VR game to you. Mine's Propagation Paradise Hotel. Propagation Paradise Hotel. Absolutely love that game. Fantastic game. Great Tantrum, JB in the house tonight. What up, man? Oh, I didn't realize the Overdark game came out February 9th. That's cool. You know, I'm not expecting much from that, but I'm here's hoping it's good. Definitely not as excited about that as I am Madison VR. That's been my most anticipated horror game next to Phasmophobia for quite some time. Hell yeah, Random Toxie says, I've been an RPG fan, looking forward to Legendary Tales. I've been an RPG fan since the dawn of video games. Yeah, man, me too. But yeah, JB mentions there was no Judas VR or Silent Hill VR. Yeah, I mean, you know, those would definitely be like big mic drop moments. But the good news is that we did get the announcement of a completely built from the ground up VR game of a very, very, very popular title, and that is Metro Awakening VR. Now, this is, of course, a new game that was just announced yesterday based on the very popular Metro series. There's been Metro 2033, Metro Exodus, Metro Last Light. And they're all, I believe, based on a book, a post-apocalyptic book, which is actually the thing that interested me most in the game originally. I played some of them back in the day when I think one was either a PS Plus game or was discounted with PS Plus or on sale or something, and I grabbed it. And the thing that intrigued me was that it seemed like it was really well written. And from what I played, that was definitely the case here. It was a heavily story-driven game, and you could tell the difference between quality writing and just typical, you know, most video games you don't play for the story or the writing. When they do have good story and writing, though, that's the kind of thing that can really help transcend a game across generations, things that make it most memorable. I mean, hell, my favorite game of all time, Final Fantasy VII, as much as I love the gameplay, the world, the everything, really what was the cherry on top of that was like how amazing the story was told and how amazing the characters were and memorable they were. And from what I played from the Metro series, it was very, kind of a similar case where the whole just atmosphere and the writing and the storytelling was very captivating. And it was really, really cool. And it also looked beautiful. And it had it's basically a first person shooter set in a post-apocalyptic world. Now let's go ahead and, just like as always, let's check out what they have to say about Metro in the PlayStation blog. Metro Awakening is coming to PlayStation VR 2. The beloved post-apocalyptic shooter series makes its debut in 2024. This comes to us via Samar Liu, Associate Game Director at Vertigo Games. Let's see here. He says, "Hi, everyone. I'm Samar, Associate Game Director at Vertigo Games. We couldn't be more excited to reveal our next project, Metro Awakening, during today's State of Play. We're proud to say that with the support of Deep Silver, for the last 2.5 years, we've been working to bring the post-apocalyptic world of Metro to PSVR 2 in 2024. So this has been in development. I like that all these devs are giving us a little bit of info as to how long the games have been in development for. Bosk in the house tonight says, better be 2024 next week. I hear that, homie. Let's see here. Shapeshifter says, loved the Metro community's backlash yesterday. Most didn't realize the game was spin off. Yeah, that's bound to happen. All right, let's get into this, though. It says, the best video games take us out of our world by putting us into the boots of someone else. They let us experience that world through their eyes. The Metro series continually strives to achieve this, inspired by the internationally best-selling novels by Dmitry Glukhovsky Metro 2033, Metro Last Light, and Metro Exodus delivered immersive first-person experiences at release. These games put players in the heart of a desperate battle for survival after nuclear Armageddon. Metro Awakening is an all-new Metro game made exclusively for VR and powered by the immersive features of the PSVR2 and its Sense controllers. Here we're getting some screenshots as well. This is looking very Half-Life Alyx-y kind of to me. This rundown, city subway stuff definitely has a familiar vibe to it. It's an origin story set before the events of Metro 2033 that both offers a whole new angle for Metro fans and a fantastic starting point for seasoned VR players ready to put on the gas mask. Set in 2028, the all-new story is penned by series creator Dmitry Glukhovsky. You play as Serdar, a doctor searching for his wife amongst the claustrophobic, irradiated metro tunnels of post-apocalyptic Moscow. As Serdar ventures deeper into the metro, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but hopefully, if not, I'm sorry. Deeper into the metro, his courage and sanity will be tested by the supernatural forces he encounters and will set in motion the events that led to his spiritual awakening as something else entirely. But how does this all feel in VR? True to the core of the series, Metro Awakening is an intense first-person adventure blending survival, stealth, and combat with a gripping story. This means you'll get to experience Metro's heart-pounding first-person shooter gameplay in VR for the very first time, fumbling for filters to protect you from radiation, panicking as you frantically charge your flickering headlamp in the dark, and reloading your arsenal by hand as you battle the many threats in the depths of the tunnels. With the addition of adaptive triggers and headset haptics on PSVR2, we were able to add tactile sensations to pulling our weapons' triggers and getting hit by bullets. It's nuances like these that push the level of immersion in VR even further on a visceral level. And then they say, we'll have a lot more on Metro Awakening before it releases later in 2024, and we're honored to bring this beloved franchise to PSVR2 for the first time. So, I've said it before, and I'll reiterate this, games that are not VR and converted to VR make for some of, if not the best games out there. But if there's one thing that can be better than a game that's converted from non-VR to VR, is a built from the ground up VR game of a large scale, of a massive scale. Now, we don't know the size or scope of this game. Obviously, I wouldn't expect it to be the longest game ever, but being in development for 2.5 years, it could be most likely. I think we're over that hump of games, being too short. There's some here and there, but I don't know. We don't have any details on the length of this game or anything. But what I love about this is they're taking the IP and they're doing a spin-off of the IP. Well, it's not really a spin-off so much as it is a prequel to Metro 2033. But they're taking all the things that you like about the original game, it seems, and they're aiming to let you experience that from a VR perspective. This game, Pietrek F says it's a quest game, lower your expectations. Okay, so it is for PSVR2. It is multi-platform, so it's PSVR2, Quest 2 and 3, and PCVR. So we could see some limitations from there, but there have been cases where it's not really been affected too much as long as they treat the PSVR2 version with a lot of love. And before we have a little discussion on this, there's also a website that is open, metroawakening.com. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at this. An all-new campaign. It says Brave Darkness and Radiation in a Metro prequel made for PSVR2, MetaQuest 2 and 3, and PCVR. Push your courage to the limit and push your courage and sanity to the limit. Save your wife and awaken the supernatural being you will one day become. Experience Metro's trademark immersion as your mass clouds, ammo and filters run low, and your torch flickers in the dark. Wield an arsenal of handcrafted weapons and outsmart the bandits, mutants, and worse that haunt your every step. Explore terrifying tunnels, reload guns by hand, charge your equipment, and scavenge every bullet and filter you can. So definitely going to be lots of scavenging in this. What I do love is that they have confirmed a couple things here. They've confirmed that it is a prequel, that it is going to be story driven. They confirmed that you'll get to like use the gas mask, that it'll fog up, that there's going to be haptics, adaptive triggers, and they've also confirmed manual reloading. Let's go. I love, and I will say this again, love manual reloading in games. So this is a very, very cool and interesting universe. Now, I'll be very interested to see how they choose to tell the story. You know, I'm not usually the biggest fan of when you're playing in VR in first person, having the player you're playing as talk. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of them having anything that they say. I usually like the characters and the environment to tell the story, and then you just kind of play as the character and experience. You're more of like, you observe everything versus like actual having like dialogue and stuff. But we'll see how they're gonna do that. How much talking or dialogue your character is gonna have. But in the gameplay footage here, you get to see a little bit of kind of what it's like, and it very much does remind me a good bit of little bits and pieces of like Half-Life. I mean, it's just another post-apocalyptic world. And, you know, everything's gone to shit, except this one is from a nuclear fallout. And there's monsters and all sorts of stuff. The Half-Life is more like aliens. This is more like mutants and stuff. But yeah, this is seeming really, really good. Obviously, we have a lot more to see on this game. But the early preview is looking very promising, and I love seeing another high-profile IP being created for VR. Is there any other information we can get from this article here? They haven't given us a ton here. Let's see. Talk about manual reloading. I like that you'll have to change your filters and stuff. I like all these manual things in VR. I think that does make for more of a tactile experience. That's super cool. And doing this with all post-apocalyptic nuclear Armageddon style is just awesome. So they'll have more news to share later in this year. It says, if you're new to the world of Metro, check out our handy intro to the books and games. So they do have, and they have also that there is another flat game in development. But yeah, they do have kind of like a story overview as to what's taken place in the other games. The other cool thing is, like, if you've never played the Metro games before, this is a prequel, so you can actually start from this one, which sounds pretty cool. You won't have to have played the other ones. You know, if you're only playing VR, then this is a good jumping off point. This will be a great way to introduce yourself to the series. Now, as I stated before, this game is being developed by Vertigo Games with the help of Deep Silver, and Vertigo Games announced that this was, you know, they had hinted at that they were developing a really popular, a globally recognized Deep Silver IP is what they said back in the day, a couple of years ago or something. We covered it back then, and I think most everybody, you know, of all the games that we kind of cycled through, Metro was the one we all kind of agreed on was the most likely to happen. And then you had that thing go down where there was a solo indie dev that was making his own VR game that was heavily Metro inspired. and then he got hit with the copyright and had to take that down. So there's been lots of hints and clues as to, you know, this being announced, this coming, and they've done a good job of keeping it a secret for the last 2.5 years. But you know, I'm seeing some mixed things on Vertigo games here. Oh no, you're talking about Vertigo 2. Never mind. I can't tell if you're talking about Vertigo games or Vertigo 2. There's a whole nother conversation happening down here in the chat. But you know, I wish I had a little bit more information to share on this, but I honestly don't. I didn't play the original games enough, and it's actually one of those games, one of those series that I do regret not getting into more. So I'd love to, you know, maybe try to spend a little bit more time with some of those to kind of prepare for this. But because what I did play, I did really, really enjoy. It had incredible storytelling and dialogue and atmosphere. The graphics were really nice. The setting was really cool. It had all the right things going for it. But unfortunately, I just don't remember what happened. I just never continued it. So I wish I could share some more experienced insight as a huge Metro fan, but unfortunately I can't. But what I will say is that as somebody that's this will be pretty new to me, I'm very, very excited to begin my my journey with the Metro series here. But really good stuff. GC13 in the house tonight has graced us with her presence and making a your mom joke. Perfect timing. But yeah, from what I remember, you know, this was a good mix of survival and first-person shooting in a dark post-apocalyptic world. Pretty good stuff. I don't think there's really much more info to go off this, but really exciting stuff. So, guys, that is just the beginning. We are already starting off February with some pretty exciting stuff, some new games announced, and we've got Legendary Tales next week. I cannot wait for Legendary Tales. That I'm really, really stoked about that game, you guys. Really, really stoked. I'm stoked about Metro as well. I think both of these were really good announcements. You know, all of us obviously want, you know, to see more stuff, but you know, I am happy with this so far, and we'll just kind of see how it goes. You know, VR, this is kind of how it goes for real VR games that are not mods. You know, it can't just happen overnight. Like we kind of get like one, you know, games take time to develop, and we kind of get, you know, the wait for releases can be kind of tough. It can be kind of slow going, but by the end of it, or the games that we do usually end up getting are pretty amazing. So can't wait for Legendary Tales next week. Also, we'll be sharing my thoughts on Dead Hook. I haven't touched Mixture yet, but I'm looking forward to trying that one, although I hear kind of mixed things on that one. And then, like I said, you know, man, we got Overdark coming. We got Madison VR coming very, very soon. God, I can't wait for Madison. I've never been so excited to be so freaking scared in my life. Man, and then, yeah, we'll see if Sony has something planned for the anniversary of the PSVR 2. So cannot wait, man. Well, guys, with that, we are going to get out of here, but thank you so much for dropping by tonight. Hopefully you had a good time, and hopefully you're excited about what's to come. Definitely can't wait to share thoughts and reviews on these games and more, man. So you all have a wonderful, wonderful night. I will see you again on Saturday night live streams where we'll be kicking it back. And yeah, man, y'all take it easy. I love you guys. You're the best. And we will catch you on the next time. Later, y'all.